Great. So I think the longer that I'm engaged in this practice, the more I feel like really the the bulk of the practice, or the best bang for the buck, is breathing. And um, the breath is just so, it's such a gift, right? And we don't really have to even think about it, but it supports everything we're doing. And so I want to read a little bit of passage from Alexander Lowen. This is from his book called The Voice of the Body. So he's talking about breathing here, the act of breathing. And he says that the lungs are relatively passive in this action. It's really the expansion and the relaxation of the lungs is produced by the upward or downward movement in the thoracic cavity. So proper breathing, and this is really, I'm going to say this again, proper breathing involves your head, your neck, your thoracic cavity, your abdomen. And if we have chronic tension in any part of our body, our breathing is going to be impacted. So some of us have chronic tension in our necks. Some of us have chronic tension in our hips. Some of us have, anywhere we have chronic tension, that's going to affect our breathing. Our breathing is rhythmic, of course, and our breathing accelerates when we're excited or when we're feeling any sort of elevated mood. And our breathing slows down when we're relaxed and when we go to sleep, and sometimes when we're depressed. And we have the ability, if we're gonna continue to practice conscious breathing, we have ability to regulate whether our breathing is accelerated or decelerated, right? And then he goes on to say, it is the quality of the respiratory movements that determines whether breathing is pleasurable. It is the quality of the respiratory movements which determines whether breathing is pleasurable. So we can think of the breath sort of metaphorically, those of you in Bellingham or close to the water, anywhere, the breath it moves like a wave, ascending and descending. You might think of it as the flow, something else that flows back and forth. But when we experience breath pleasurably, there's a feeling of lightness, there's a feeling of softness or expansion, fluidity. And of course, it supports, we have to have the breath to bring in oxygen to support every metabolic process in our body. So in the way that a fish lives in water, we live in air. It's our medium, okay? And when we really attune to our breath and we have proper breathing, we're attuned to our atmosphere. We're attuned to our atmosphere. When we inhibit the breath, we isolate ourselves from the medium in which we exist. Great. So we're gonna work with breath today. We'll do simple flow, but the invitation is to just when you catch yourself either holding your breath or your breath becomes shallow because maybe something is challenging for you, can you come back to that rhythmic breath, the inhale and the exhale, ascending, descending, the wave of the breath. It's a way to come home, okay? Thich Nhat Hanh says, and this is a little bit more poetic, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. Conscious breathing is my anchor. Okay, so if you are not already on your mat, I know some of you have already gone to the mat and started to move a bit, but we'll go together now. So let's start on our backs. And big cat stretch, like you've just gotten out of bed, which some of you may have. Stretch the arms overhead, stretch the legs long. And just feel for some space in between the ribs, the intercostals, in the front of the body. And you might take your legs out to more of a Y shape, arms to a Y shape, and press through, alternating right and left heel, same arm. Just begin to pull yourself apart like you're some sticky dough. And then bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Bring your arms into the goalpost position. So have your feet as wide as your mat or as wide as your space, a little wider than your hips, and just softly rock the knees back and forth and begin to match your movement with your breath. So the inhale brings your knees back up to center, and the exhale takes your knees to the side. Maintain connection with your feet as you move back and forth. And then just begin to add as the knees go to the right, stretch the left arm long and turn your gaze towards the left hand. So you're beginning to move through the neck. Come back to center, knees to the left, stretch the right arm long and take your gaze over to your right hand or in that direction. And then just come back and forth with that movement, taking as long as you want in any of these positions. So we have some urgency in our practice, but we also have spontaneity. We also have rest in the practice. But here, just really get the rhythm of the breath and movement married. And once you've done an even number, come back to center. Now arms alongside your body, palms down, pressing into your feet, lift hips and sweep your arms behind you. So same thing, just a really easy movement to marry the breath and the movement. So as you press into your feet and lift your hips, that's the inhale. You sweep your arms behind you. And on the exhale, bring everything back down. And see if you can have the inhale and the exhale be the same length, the same volume. And then you just might, after you've been in a little rhythm with this, see if you can sense the quality of your breath this morning. Go at a pace that feels skillful for you, supportive in your body. And the next time you land, everything back down to the mat. We'll just go one arm at a time. So as you press into your feet, inhale, hips come up, right arm comes back behind you, turn your gaze to the left. So really starting to open up through the neck and then bring everything back down. Press into your feet, sweep the left arm back, turn your gaze to the right, and bring everything back down. And same thing, see if you can really even out, inhale and exhale, same length, same volume, and what is the quality of your breath. And then even number on both sides, come back to center. Draw your knees into your chest. That's going to be an exhale. Inhale, just press the knees away with your hands, but resist back slightly. And then on your exhale, draw your knees into your chest. Resist slightly against your hands. So it's sort of a pelvic tilt action, undulation of the spine, but we'll really draw knees in on the exhale. Press the knees or the legs away with the hands and resist back on the inhale. You should feel the lower back moving away from the floor on the inhale and dropping down into the floor, navel upstroking towards the spine on the exhale. Couple rounds here. And maybe just noticing your own personal tendencies, whether you really like to go fast in these little vinyasas, or you're able to extend them out slightly, or maybe just change your pattern, just change your breathing pattern. And then the next time you bring your knees into your chest, either reach around with your arms and squeeze your knees into your chest, or cross your ankles and take the outsides of your feet. And then just a little side to side movement, just feeling into the kidney spaces on either side of your lower spine. Maybe resting on one side, a little supportive pressure there on the kidney spaces. So, on top of the kidney is the adrenal gland, and we're still in kind of a fight or flight sort of situation. Sympathetic nervous system pretty fired up with vaccinations and reactions to vaccinations, and are our parents getting vaccinated and all the people we love. So give your adrenals just a little support here. Mm-hmm. And then soles of the feet back to the floor, arms back behind your head. And so we'll just ask, we're going to engage the core a little bit, and same sort of breathing pattern. So on your next exhale, we're going to exhale the arms up and the legs up. So like a dead bug. And then inhale, the soles of the feet back to the floor, arms overhead. Exhale, arms up, legs up. Then you inhale, you set your feet down, bring your arms along back behind you. Just repeat that, as many times as feels like it's supportive for you. And you just begin to feel your core starting to come on board. If you want it to be a little extra fierce, don't let the feet touch or the hands touch. Just let them hover as you bring them back down to the floor. And then I would challenge you to see if you can lengthen the exhale here. Lengthen the movement with the lengthening of your exhale. So the inhale might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the exhale might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do a couple like that. Lengthening the exhale. And then the next time your feet touch the floor, release your arms alongside your body. Let your knees just touch together and rest, and take 2 resting breaths here. Take your time, we're not in a hurry. Now you can roll to one side or cross at the ankles and rock yourself up to a seat. And we'll take a block and we'll sit in Virasana, hero's pose. So the block between our ankles and sit bones resting on the block. And I'll show a couple different orientations here. So sitting in, squeeze the block between your ankles. Great, and then just easy, we're just going to inhale the arms out to a T, externally rotate, and then up. And then the exhale will bring everything back through center and back to our side waist. Okay, so the pattern is the inhale brings out to T, externally rotate and up, palms together. And then the exhale, release everything back through center. And you can speed this up. Just get that external rotation as you bring palms up, feeling your shoulders working, warming up. And then can you get a sense of really plugging your tailbone down into the block, maybe all the way through the block into the earth. So you have a lot of length in your spine. You really are lengthening through the spine as you inhale the arms up. And then keeping that length as you bring your hands back down. So if you were in class a couple of weeks ago, we sort of affected that by, as I bring my hands back down, I get a feel for my crown reaching towards the ceiling. Sit bones really solid on the block, tailbone reaching down. That all happens on the inhale. I can really feel that. But as I exhale, can I reach my crown up towards the ceiling, keeping length in my spine? Just a couple more. And then you can rest your hands on your thighs. And we'll work in the neck a little bit. So take a nice long inhale. And exhale, drop your left ear toward your left shoulder. Bring your gaze to your right hand. So you have to drop your chin a bit. And then bring your chin back through center. And right ear to right shoulder. Turn your gaze to your left hand. And then slide back through center, chin to the center of your chest. Left ear to left shoulder. Turn your gaze is down and looking at your right hand. And then you slide through center. Right ear to right shoulder. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Gaze over at the left hand. Slide through center. Okay, drop your left ear to your left shoulder and take your gaze to your right hand, but now reach your right hand over to the right. Reach it out to the right, maybe even back behind you. See what that feels like if you reach your hand back behind your back body. Might that open up a little bit different place in your neck? Great, and then bring chin to sternum, slide over to the other side. So right ear to right shoulder. Drop your shoulder away from your ear. Reach your left arm away and maybe into your back body space. So you're really opening through the collarbones. Notice if you hold your breath when you do these kinds of movements. Just keep your breath steady and even. Come back through center. And now bring your hands back to your thighs. Inhale, reach your arms up and cross at the wrist. Bring your palms together and just take a side bend in one direction. Inhale back to center, change the cross and side bend in the opposite direction. Inhale back to center and exhale, release. Now bring your hands behind your back and you're going to try to bring your opposite hand on opposite elbow. Okay. And then from here, can you keep without overarching your back? So really plug your tailbone down into the block. Can you reach your arms away from your back? And take some breath here. Just support yourself with the anchor of the breath. And even if you can't move your arms away from your back, close your eyes and see that happening in your body. Just intend for that to happen. Keep squeezing the block between your ankles. So there's some engagement in the legs. Good. And then release your arms. Take your hands to the front of your legs and just take a couple of resting breaths. Great. And then we'll come to hands and knees. Keep the block where it is between your ankles. And take a few rounds of cat-cow. And you get a light squeeze on the block between your ankles. On the inhale, you draw the chest forward. Spread your tail feathers. Let your belly reach to the floor. Don't take your head up so far that you close your throat, but keep your back of your neck long. And then on your exhale, press into your hands and round your back up towards the ceiling, tucking tail, tucking chin. If you have any impact in your hands or wrists this morning, you can do the same thing on your forearms. And just choose what's best for you. And then at some point, you're going to land in a neutral spine. Squeeze the block between your ankles and just give a couple lifts up towards your bum with your block. So squeeze and lift your block up towards your bum. You'll kind of feel your hamstrings coming online here. Great. And then you can reach back towards your block. Just take it away from your feet and set it at the front of your mat. Great. Bring your hips back towards your heels. And then just slide to the right and slide to the left. Find a rhythm with your breath. And then begin to bring your hips back towards your heels and open up to the side, rocking yourself forward over your hands. So big circling action. Inhaling one direction and exhale in the other direction of your circle. And then change it. Change the direction of your circle. Come back to neutral. Drop your hips back towards your left heel. Bring your hands over to the right. Feel opening in the left side body, between the ribs. Keep your head relaxed. And then as you inhale, press yourself up. Walk your hands through center. Exhale, hips over to the right ankle or right heel and hands to the left. Walking back to center, press yourself up, reach your right foot back and turn the toes under and just pulse a little bit through your calf. Mm-hmm. And then inhale, sweep the right leg up if you can, a little higher than parallel, pointing the toes away. And exhale, round and bring your knee into your nose. Inhale, lift the leg behind you. Exhale, round in, bring your knee to your nose. So flexion and extension at the hip. Breath and movement together. And then the next time you have your leg extended out behind you, rest there. Start to drop your hips back towards your left heel. Bring your right foot out to the side of your body. Sole of the foot down to the floor, and then reach your hips back towards your heels. So you're in, you've got some opening in the inner leg. You can come to your forearms. Some of you might be able to come all the way flat to the floor. And then you'll press yourself back up and reach the right knee, setting it next to the left knee. And now we'll take the other side. So reach the left leg back, turn your toes under and just pulse through your calf, opening the calf, and then inhale, leg comes up, exhale, round your back, bring your knee to your nose. Again, you could be doing this on your forearms if you have any impact in your hands or wrists this morning. Inhale and exhale. Next time your left leg is extended out behind you, start to drop your hips back towards your right heel. Take your left leg out to the left, sole of the foot on the floor, and come down to resting on that heel. Or if you can't quite get there, it might be a little easier to be in on your forearms than your hands, but reaching hips back towards the heel. Feel stretch in the inner left leg. Mm-hmm. And then pressing into the bent leg, press into that shin to come back up and reach left knee back to right. Good. Now let's take the knees back slightly. Hands forward slightly. So you're in sort of a modified plank. Good. And then from here, and if anyone here wants to turn toes under and be in full plank, you can. But let's just bend the arms about an inch. Bend the elbows. And press back up. And then again, maybe 1 or 2 inches. And then back up. And then maybe a little deeper. And back up. Notice if you're holding your breath with the effort. Keep your breath nice and steady. And then this last time, let's just lower all the way down to the floor. Make a little pillow with your hands. Reach both legs long, tops of the feet to the floor. Rest your forehead on the little pillow. Press your pubic bone into the floor and draw your navel up and in. On your inhale, press your head and shoulders up. Pressing into your forearms, drawing navel up and in, and on your exhale, release back down. And then just repeat that little baby back bend to start here. And even though we're on the front of the body, can you imagine as you lower yourself back down, that same unfurling of your spine? You might even feel like the crown of the head is reaching away slightly. And then the next time your forehead lands on your hands, just take 2 resting breaths right there. Slide your hands out, take them beside your body, take the forehead to the floor. Inhale, reach your palms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, really draw the navel up and in, draw the pelvic floor up. Then on your next inhale, lift your head and chest. Press your pubic bone into the floor, press your thighs, tops of your thighs, tops of your feet into the floor. Keep your breathing going, even though it's effort. The back of the neck is long. And then hands together and a little pillow, rest your forehead on your hands. Bend your knees here, just do a soft back and forth movement with the feet, releasing any tension in your low back. Come back to forehead on the floor, arms alongside your body. Press your pubic bone into the floor, draw your navel up and in. Inhale, reach the shoulder tops away from the floor, palms press up towards the ceiling, and then lift head and shoulders. Lift legs here if you'd like to as well. Now, can you find a steady breath for 2 breath cycles? All right, so we're working really internally versus externally. So, it's not so much about what this pose might look like in a conceptual way, but how do you feel? How can you really be connected to your breath and the feelings, the sensation in your body? And release, take the legs down, make a little pillow with your hands, rest your forehead on that pillow. Good. Now let's lift the head slightly, and you'll bring your left forearm across the front edge of your mat parallel, and you take your right hand to the side, to the right, and you can open up here just in a little twist. So just a little twisting action. Now some of you might want to bend your right leg and take the right foot with the right hand, deepening the twist, if you feel like your body's ready for that. And keep your breath steady. You release the foot, come back, take the right forearm parallel to the short edge of your mat, left hand out to the side, and you can just press slightly into the left hand. That'll give you a little twist, or bend the left leg and reach around with the left hand and take the hand on top of the foot, deepening the twist. And release. Come back to center. One last time, just come to those hands matched, forearm on your hands, resting breath. Great. Then you're going to extend the left arm long and roll onto your left side. So you're resting your head on your left arm. You can have your right hand out here in front of you for balance. And then lift the right leg off the floor. Or off your left leg, rather. And you're about 6 inches off the floor. Then lift the left leg to meet the right. So you're in Tadasana, both feet hovering. Maybe here you can reach your arm up as well. Feel the side waist, the bottom side waist, pull up towards midline to support you in this. balancing posture. Now, can you find a nice steady breath? And then release the bottom foot to the floor. You take your hand back to the front of your body for balance, or if it's on your hip or up in the air, just see if you can bring the top leg into Vrksasana, to tree pose. So the sole of the foot comes right to the middle, the seam on your jeans, if you're wearing jeans like me, right to the middle of your inner thigh. And then press your inner thigh, the bottom leg, press that inner thigh up towards your foot. Like you could try to get your leg to come off the mat, but it's stuck there. And then press the upper foot, the one that's bent, press that foot into the inner thigh. And then maybe you can reach both arms overhead, thinking about if we were standing in tree. Do you have any tension anywhere that's going to inhibit your breath? How about your neck? Checking with your neck. And you might have to bend the top arm to get the head a little bit more comfortable. You might have to play with finding a way to get that tension out of your neck or head or thoracic. Good. Then we'll release that and we'll roll to the other side. So right side, right arm extended, head resting on the arm, legs are long. So get a sense of your body being in one pretty nice straight line, like a pencil. And then lift the top leg up. Lift the bottom leg up. Engage the obliques, the side waist. So the side waist is pulling up towards midline to help support you in this balance. You could also have your hand resting on the floor in front of you. Or you could work with stacking the shoulders. And then release the bottom foot to the floor and bend the top leg, external rotation in that thigh to get your foot into Vrksasana. Right in the middle of the leg. And then get a sense of your bottom leg sort of pressing up into the foot and the foot pressing into the leg. Reach the hands overhead if that feels okay. And can you feel any tension, any restriction, especially in your neck, your thoracic spine? Taking some nice even breaths here. And now you can release the top leg. We'll roll around to our belly. Bring hands underneath shoulders or low ribs. Press yourself up to all fours. And then turn your toes under and hips back and up, downward facing dog. And just take a little bit of movement in your downward dog. First one of the day. Perhaps, maybe not for Kaisa out there. Well, just take some movement in your downward dog. And then just come up onto your toes and begin to walk your feet a little closer to your hands. So you're in a tighter V. Reach heels towards the floor. They might not make it. Back up on toes. And then walk your hands back towards your feet until you're in a kind of an open Uttanasana, open forward bend. You can have a lot of bend in your knees here if you need to. Great. Now start to set your hips down towards your heels like you're going into a squat. Bring your hands forward. So you're in this deep squat. Arms are forward, you're squatting. And then you'll begin to rock forward till your hands come to the mat and you can lift your hips back up in the air. Let your head hang here. We're going to go really slow so we don't get dizzy with this. So it'll be inhale, drop your hips back towards your heels, reach the arms forward. So you're in a deep squat, and then as you bend forward, hands come to the mat and hips come up into the air. That's your exhale. So really, and you can stay as long as you need to in any one position, because this can make you dizzy when you move back and forth. If you get dizzy, just keep your chin tucked a bit. So drop your hips back towards your heels as you reach your arms forward in a deep squat. And then rock forward, hands to the mat, hips up on the exhale. So warming up the glutes and the hips. And keep your breath nice and steady and even. And if it takes more than one breath cycle to do this, that's fine too. Just releasing to the forward fold on the exhale. And the next time you're in that forward fold, just stay there. Take a couple of breaths, let your head, you might even shake your head yes and no, feeling for a lot of no tension in the neck. Now walk your hands a little bit back towards your feet. Take your hands to your shins, to your thighs, kind of set your hips back, and then press yourself up slowly. Great. From here, we'll step the right foot forward. Keep the left foot back, warrior one stance. Okay, on your inhale, straighten your front leg, bring your hands overhead. On your exhale, bend through your front leg and bring your arms out and wide, thumbs back like you're hitchhiking, chest really open. Inhale, press into both feet as you extend both legs straight and reach your hands overhead, palms together. Exhale, bend through the front leg, open up your chest, thumbs come back like you're in the hitchhiker position. Keep the back leg strong and really engaged against the floor. That's the pattern. That's it. Inhale. Exhale. And the next time you come deep into the front leg, the bend in the front leg, take your hands to your hips, pick up your back foot and turn your back foot. So now your heel is stacked over your toes, and now you're in a little bit longer stance, so crescent lunge. Inhale, reach your arms up, and exhale, twist to the right, to the bent leg side. So a closed twist. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, hands come down by your sides as you step forward to standing. Great. Now step the right foot back and come to warrior one on the other side. So back foot, 35 degrees or so, front leg bent, knee over ankle, and then inhale, straighten front leg, bring hands together. Exhale, sweep your arms open, open your chest, collarbones, thumbs come back like you're hitchhiking. Inhale, sweep arms up. And exhale, bend through the front leg and open up through your chest. Don't let the back leg get lazy though. And the next time you have the front leg bent, hands come to your hips, pick up your back heel and turn so that your foot is now not at an angle, but heel stacked over toes, so you're more in the crescent lunge. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, twist to the front leg, to the bent leg side, closed twist. Keep the back leg lifting towards the ceiling. And inhale, sweep back up. And now on your exhale, drop your hands down around your front foot and step back to downward facing dog. Inhale to rock forward into high dandasana. Exhale, slide your hips back, downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Come up onto your toes. So you're in a much tighter V here. And then exhale, drop your heels to the floor. Continue to walk your hands back towards your feet. You can have any amount of bend in your knees. Hands to shins, hands to thighs, pressing into your thighs and standing up into Tadasana. All right, take your hands behind your head, interlacing your hands behind your head. And on your exhale, press your hands away to one side and turn your gaze on the opposite side, hips to the opposite side. Inhale back to center, hands come behind the head. Exhale, press your hands away, turn your gaze in the opposite direction. Inhale and exhale. So hands move in one direction, hips and gaze or turn your head opposite direction. Inhale back to center and exhale, other side. One more on each side. Opening up, again, opening up side body quite a bit here, as that really impacts our breathing. More than anything else, the thoracic cavity impacts our breath. Relax hands down to your side in Tadasana. 2 breaths in Tadasana. And then if you're not lined up the way I am with your facing the long edge of your mat, go ahead and line up facing the long edge of your mat. Open up into a big wide stance. Turn your right foot forward. Back heel out. And then just here, just warm up through your knee and hip as if you're going to come down into Warrior 2. But no hands are involved yet. Just exhale brings you down. Inhale, press into your feet, stand back up. Then you can add the arms. And you might even play with the arms. So as you come forward and you exhale, you press into an imaginary wall. And as you inhale and straighten back up, you kind of let your arms kind of float like a big raptor. Good. And then the next time you're in the Warrior 2 with the front leg bent, rest there, 2 breaths, press into the back heel. How can you make your breathing a little more easy here? Then just straighten the front leg and tilt towards the front leg, landing in Trikonasana. Take a couple breaths here in Trikonasana. Hand against thigh or hand against shin. On your next inhale, bend through the front leg and sweep your arms all the way up and turn your feet, hands above your head, and exhale, hands to heart center. With this big open stance, take a few breaths, close your eyes. And then turn the opposite foot out, turn the opposite heel out. Start just with the knees and the hips, so hands are not involved yet. and use the breath. See if you can get deeper into that front leg, maybe parallel to the earth. Then you can add the arms. Each time you exhale, you could imagine you're pressing down against a wall, and on the inhale, floating the arms up, sort of like a raptor, big bird. Beautiful wingspan. And we'll hold the warrior two. Really engage the back foot. Great, then we're gonna straighten the front leg and just tilt into triangle. So hand to the thigh or to the shin, pressing thigh into hand, hand into thigh. Take a couple of breaths here. If you feel restriction in the neck, sometimes, you get cued to look up at the top hand. That's gonna energize you a bit. But if you feel any tension in your neck, just keep the head sort of neutral. So you could be looking straight ahead or even looking down at your front foot. Inhale as you bend into the front foot, sweep everything up, feet come parallel to one another and hands above your head. And exhale, hands to heart center. Good, and then we'll heel toe the feet in a bit. Line up the feet with the thighs. So coming into the goddess pose. Inhale, sweep the arms up, straighten the legs. And exhale, drop into this big deep squat. Hands to the heart center. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale, float down. Can you lengthen the exhale now? Maybe even hold at the end of your exhale. Inhale to sweep up. Lengthen the exhale. And hold. Might even lift one heel, the other heel. Release. Inhale. And exhale. And then the last time you come down into this deep goddess stance, take your hands to your thighs and just bring one shoulder in, the other shoulder in, giving a little bit of a twist to your spine. Then heel toe everything together so that you can drop through a squat to the floor. Maybe take a quick hip balance, but now hands behind your legs as you slowly, this could be a long exhale, release yourself down to the floor. Stretch everything long. Bring knees into your chest. Go back to that same little pulsing. Exhale brings the knees in. Inhale, the knees go away. You're pressing against your legs, but you're giving a little resistance back. So now, at this point in practice, is when you really want to have some more agency over the breath, okay? So really extending your exhale here to bring you more into a relaxation state. So now let's bring the feet back to the floor. Same little windshield wiper pattern. So my feet are on the floor, but now I'm going to pick them up and just take my knees side to side, not letting them completely collapse. to stand to either side, but just right above my hips. And then I'll let the knees drop in one direction. Open up my arms to a T. And now I'm in a nice gentle twist. If this is at all uncomfortable, you can readjust by bringing your hips a little to the opposite side of your knees. Take your gaze to your outstretched hand or gaze up at the ceiling. And just begin to lengthen the exhale even more here. Then you inhale the top leg up. Bring your knees back to stacked over your hips and just softly, feet are suspended. You're not letting the knees go all the way, just back and forth a bit, and then let them drop in the opposite direction. Arms extended in the T, or you could have the opposite hand on top of your legs to just encourage a little bit more rotation in the spine. Gaze to the outstretched hand or up to the ceiling. See if you can follow the breath all the way through your body. Maybe your attention is at the nostrils as it enters your body, and then see it move all the way through your body. Maybe the rise and fall of your belly helps you to visualize the breath. Inhale the top leg back up. Just a couple more, side to side with the knees. Perhaps circling a bit out there. And then anything else you need. And when you come to Shavasana, so typically we practice on our back. If that's where you like to practice, you could go there. You could also go onto your belly for Shavasana and make that little pillow. And really get a sense of your breath as you feel your belly against the floor. Just for a couple more breaths, really allowing the exhale to lengthen. And can you relax all the muscles in your face? Bring the edges of your mouth up in a slight smile. You're always welcome to stay in your Shavasana pose as long as you want. If you want to join me in a seat, you can roll to one side for a few breaths or rock yourself up. Take your time. Take an inhale through the nose and an open mouth exhale. Inhale through the nose to Om. You could place your hands on your heart if you want. Giving gratitude to yourself, to anyone else who makes your practice possible, to your ever widening circle of community. Namaste.